I want to wish everybody a good morning. Welcome to the March 2020 open meeting of the Federal Communications Commission. Madam Secretary, would you please introduce our agenda this morning?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to you and good morning, Commissioners. For today's meeting, no items will be presented for your consideration. All items listed on the March 24th, 2020 Sunshine Notice have been adopted by the Commission and deleted from today's agenda.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, and thank you to Jeff Reardon and the Audiovisual Department for enabling us to have this teleconference. Before turning to my colleagues for any remarks they might wish to make, I wanted to offer a few remarks of my own. Safe to say, this is one of the most extraordinary open meetings in Commission history, for these are extraordinary times. One key way that today's meeting is extraordinary, of course, is that there are no agenda items, and that is because over the past several days, the Commission has already voted on and approved the items we teed up 3 weeks ago. Most notably, we advanced new rules requiring phone companies to implement caller ID authentication technology, an important step toward reducing unwanted robocalls. With no policy proposals to discuss today, I instead want to focus my brief opening remarks on the people of the FCC. First, thank you to my fellow commissioners, each of whom is on the call this morning. From agreeing to hold today's meeting via teleconference to voting on the meeting items early, my colleagues have repeatedly come together to advance the public interest and deliver for the American people. Thank you to the extraordinary FCC staff who completed the work on this month's items. We were able to get these items over the finish line during a hectic past few weeks because FCC staff laid the foundation with their hard work over the preceding months. And more generally, thanks to all of the FCC staff for successfully transitioning to telework in recent weeks. We not only completed the aforementioned work on our March items, but we're going to be rolling out a full April agenda tomorrow with items from the International, Media, and Wireline Bureaus, as well as the Office of Engineering and Technology. In addition, we've taken many steps during this crisis to meet the increasing demands on communications networks created by COVID-19 and to keep Americans connected. And plus, the day-to-day work of the Commission goes on, including recent online meetings of the Precision Agriculture Task Force, or PATF, the CISRIC, the BDAC, the TAC, an alphabet soup of groups that needs no introduction to this audience. Beyond the FCC, I want to acknowledge the 653 broadband and telephone providers across our country who have pledged to keep Americans connected as we fight through this pandemic, as well as the 17 trade associations that have endorsed it. Their commitment will allow millions of American consumers to stay in touch while keeping a distance. In addition to these many thank yous, I'll close with one additional message for all of the FCC staff out there and to anyone else who is listening. Stay healthy, stay safe, and stay home. With that, I would turn it over to Commissioner O'Rielly for any remarks he might wish to make.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be very brief. I want to extend my thanks, as you did, from the professional staff to the janitorial staff to the guards and everyone in between. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the work that you've done this month and all the past and the work that's coming up, which is still going to be difficult in these trying times. I pray for everyone's safety on a daily basis. I'm going to hold my comments on any items we've already voted. I included my thoughts in the submitted statements. The only last thing I would say is I wonder if, it's something you can consider, Mr. Chairman, and maybe my colleagues. I wonder if the telehealth thing went around yesterday. I wonder if we couldn't split that into two different items. The congressional piece is very fast, in my opinion. I can vote that. The other's going to take me a little bit more time, and I can go either way. Just if you want, you can split them up. We can do faster or whatever the case may be. But just an idea to put on the table. And with that, I'll feed back to the microphone. Thank you, so.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll certainly take that back. And in the meantime, we turn to Commissioner Carr for any remarks he might wish to make.
Thank you, Chairman Pai. Look, as a country, we are certainly in uncharted territory, and my heart goes out to everybody that's impacted by the coronavirus pandemic, from their health to their jobs and income that have been hard hit. I'm confident that we will emerge from this as a stronger and even more prosperous nation. It'll take some time. In the meanwhile, though, our internet and telecom networks are more important than ever, and I want to thank the chairman and the whole FCC staff for their quick and unprecedented response to COVID-19, from boosting programs for low-income families, to students that are now learning from home. Thank you for all of the regulatory relief that's been provided over the last couple of weeks. Thank you, too, to the FCC Chief of Staff, Matthew Berry, for providing clear, consistent, and actionable info to the FCC staff themselves. I also want to note in particular the telehealth initiatives that Chairman Pai fast-tracked for Commission consideration. These are initiatives that can make a difference immediately, and I'm very glad that the Chairman accelerated those items, and I'd urge my colleagues to vote on that order as quickly as possible so we can get this funding out to healthcare providers that are on the front lines. Finally, a quick note on network performance. At the FCC, we've been in constant contact with internet providers and third-party application providers alike, monitoring network traffic. We've been putting out a lot of information on that. I've had some tweets on it, a Medium post, and some videos that touch on network performance, and all the data is showing that our networks are strong, they're resilient, and the surge in traffic we're seeing is well within the capacity of the U.S. networks. So thank you again for everyone that's doing so much work to support the nation's response. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Rosenworcel, for any remarks she might wish to make.
Thanks. You know, it's hard to put into words the anxiety that is gripping us across the country. I mean, I know because I feel it too. It's a cruel pandemic has crashed our economy. It's filled our hospitals, emptied our public spaces, and tested our communications like nothing before. Millions of Americans have applied for unemployment benefits. Millions more are balancing an impossible load of work, school, and child rearing as we keep tabs on the news and strive to create some new normal. Again, I know because that's my life too. It's also become a routine part of my life to wake every morning and express gratitude that my family is healthy and safe. So this is an uncertain time, but here's one thing I know for sure. We are more resilient than we feel. It may be the curse of the optimist, but I believe that in the United States, when we fall, we rebound. When we see crisis, we mobilize. And when we are challenged to overcome, we do so with uncommon courage and extraordinary grace. And if you need proof, of course, you're going to find it in people all around us, the nurses and doctors on the front lines, the men and women working in our grocery stores, delivering to our homes, and cleaning our shared spaces, the public safety officials who are always on call, and the 911 operators who organize response to this crisis. We're grateful, too, for those who keep communications up and running. We're thankful for those who broadcast the news and the broadband providers that have opened their networks, lifted data caps and fees, and promised not to discontinue service. Above all, I want to give thanks to the dedicated employees of the FCC, noting especially Matthew Berry and Mark Stevens, who have led the staff response to COVID-19. I know also we have tragically already lost one member of the FCC family. So to our staff, know you are in our thoughts and prayers. We hope you are hand washing and social distancing because this crisis has given us truly urgent work to do together. This nation's online like never before and counting on communications like never before. So kudos to those providers that have worked with this agency, expanding service offerings and committing to not cut any customer off. And good for this agency when it has waived rules in our programs to make it possible for more people to get the communication services they need. These are positive things. But let's be honest, we can do more. It's not time to be timid. We need to use all of our powers in this crisis. We have the authority right now to extend the reach of broadband and close the homework gap so we connect millions of children who desperately need to go online for school. We have the authority right now to track network outages so when gaps in capacity exist, we can manage them. We have the authority right now to extend the Keep Americans Connected pledge so those with prepaid plans are covered too. We have the authority right now to extend Lifeline to all those who are newly in need. We have the authority right now to require that new funds for our telehealth initiatives are distributed fast and fair without playing favorites, as I fear we're seeing elsewhere in the national response. And on this score, I'll commit to my colleagues that I will get to the congressional item before us by close of business today and review what was just shared with my office late yesterday. I hope we can do all of this, and I hope we can move forward together. I hope we can meet this moment because the future belongs to the connected, and I want to see this agency help all of us get there. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner, and Commissioner Starks for any comments he might wish to make.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do believe the FCC must enact a connectivity stimulus to see Americans through this coronavirus crisis and to power our economy. And while this battle has many fronts, our response should start with the $8 billion the FCC administers to bring communication services to students, the low income, and rural communities. As a result of COVID-19, last week saw a staggering 3.3 million Americans file for unemployment benefits, by far the largest surge in United States history. The time to expand affordable broadband options and lifeline for struggling Americans is now. In times of emergency, no American should go without a connection because of cost. And moreover, at the same time, roughly 45 million K-12 students have been sent home, millions of them to disconnected homes. And as a result of those school closures, we know that they may last through the end of this school year. Our longstanding digital divide has morphed into a monstrous new COVID-19 divide. The time to expand the reach of E-rate is now. And COVID-19 has made social distancing a challenging but essential part of the practice of medicine, including for physicians like my father and two brothers. And to that score, the time to expand telemedicine is now. I did vote before this meeting to approve the COVID-19 Emergency Telehealth Support Program and the Telehealth for Low-Income Consumers item. I will, of course, be interested to hear how the chairman takes up Commissioner O'Reilly's suggestion if a cleaving of the two items is going to take place. But as I recently said more holistically in a New York Times op-ed, for the very first time ever in responding to an emergency pandemic, Americans will rely on the internet extensively for an indeterminate amount of time. When public health requires social distancing and quarantine, the digital divide becomes central to our collective safety and our economic security. The time to close that digital divide with that same sense of urgency we summoned to fight the pandemic is now. Saving lives and saving the economy are not in conflict right now. And by all credible experts, it is clear that to avoid the pandemic accelerating beyond the capacity of our healthcare system, social distancing and quarantining will remain America's best path forward for several weeks to come. Digital connectivity will remain the safest way to telework, access medical information, look for jobs, and help our next generation learn while school is closed. We must connect all Americans as soon as possible, and by working together to quickly increase access to broadband, the technology and telecom sectors can ensure that all Americans who need treatment can seek it safely, and those who need to be at home can effectively stay there. Finally, the impact of the coronavirus has reached almost every human on the face of the globe, but it has also affected each of us in our own deeply personal ways. My heart aches, but I have, of course, also seen up close the resiliency and goodness of the human spirit, especially here in America. And so I want to express my thanks and strong support to the FCC and our family of employees and contractors during this very difficult time. I continue to be impressed by the dedication, the hard work of my colleagues, and I do look forward to that good day when we'll return together after this crisis has happened. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. If my colleagues don't have any further remarks, Madam Secretary, could you please announce the date of the next FCC agenda meeting?
The next agenda meeting of the Federal Communications Commission is Thursday, April 23rd, 2020.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, and to all of the FCC staff who helped put this together. Until April 23rd of 2020, we stand adjourned. Take care, everybody.